Wait a minute, rednecks in North Carolina? Okay, fine, nobody's shocked by that part. But most people visiting the Tar Heel state stick strictly to the postcard stuff. You know, sipping a overpriced craft beer on a porch in Asheville, taking 45 pictures of a lighthouse on the Outer Banks, or trying to explain to your GPS that you're stuck behind a tractor on a 2-lane highway. That's the tourist version. But once you pull off the interstate, leave the suburban developments with the HOA rules behind, and head deep into the backwoods, you hit the real raw North Carolina. The places where the grass isn't manicured, the front yard doubles as an auto salvage yard, and everyone's favorite weekend hobby involves mud, horsepower, and a cooler that's seen 3 decades of abuse. Today, we're breaking down the most redneck towns in North Carolina one by one. And if you're from any of these places and feel personally attacked, good. That means we got it right. Thomasville likes to tell people it's famous for furniture, and they even built a giant 30-foot tall wooden chair right in the middle of town to prove it. But in reality, Thomasville is where Davidson County officially gives up on being suburban. This is a town where the local dress code is a high-vis shirt, a faded camo hat, and a pair of boots that haven't seen polish since a cousin's wedding in 2012. The entire local economy feels like it runs on diesel fuel, biscuits, and sheer defiance. Every third vehicle rolling down National Highway is a lifted Chevy with straight pipes that vibrates the windows of every store on the block. In Thomasville, front lawns aren't for curb appeal, they're for projects. You'll see riding mowers sitting next to boat motors, 3 clapped-out dirt bikes, and a project truck sitting on cinder blocks that hasn't run since the Bush administration. The locals aren't mad about it either. That truck isn't junk, it's future parts. Entertainment around here is pretty straightforward. If you aren't at a local dirt track on a Saturday night watching somebody named Tyner try to take a turn at 70 miles an hour, you're sitting on a tailgate in a fast stop parking lot arguing about chew brands. Thomasville isn't trying to look pretty for outsiders. And if you don't like the noise, the locals will gladly point you right back toward the highway. Lumberton sits right off Interstate 95 in Robeson County, and it exists in a state of chaotic lawlessness that modern geography can't fully explain. This is deep swamp country where the air is 80% humidity and the local vibe is strictly mind your business and keep driving. In Lumberton, the Lumber River cuts right through town, and it's less of a scenic waterway and more of an obstacle course for homemade flat-bottom boats. Everyone owns a pair of chest waders. And around here, they aren't just hunting gear. They're valid attire for going to the gas station. The social hierarchy in Lumberton is simple. People with lifted trucks, people with four-wheelers, and people who own both and think that qualifies them to run for public office. Traffic laws are treated as polite suggestions. If a teenager passes you on a modified ATV flying down a paved road with no helmet and a dog standing on the seat, nobody bats an eye. That's just Tuesday. The local diet consists heavily of gas station fried chicken, sweet tea that could cause instant diabetes, and whatever was pulled out of the swamp earlier that morning. Lumberton doesn't care about trends, it doesn't care about development, and it certainly doesn't care what passing tourists think. It's swampy, rowdy, and aggressively redneck. Rockingham is a town that built its entire identity around NASCAR, high speeds, and burning rubber. And when the big racing tracks moved away, the town simply refused to change its lifestyle. Located down in Richmond County, Rockingham is where the exhaust fumes never fully clear out of the air. This is the kind of place where every garage is larger than the actual house attached to it. People don't store cars in their garages here. They store 3 extra engines, a stock car chassis, a arc welder, and a solitary lawn chair meant exclusively for drinking cold beer while staring at a broken transmission. Route 74 cuts through Rockingham like a drag strip, and on any given weekend night, it functions as one. The local noise pollution isn't traffic. It's grown men revving engines at stoplights to prove a point to a guy they went to middle school with. The front yard aesthetic in Rockingham centers around mud tires and lawn ornaments that double as target practice. If you don't own something with a V8 engine, the locals naturally assume you're lost or passing through on your way to Charlotte. Rockingham is dusty, loud, and stuck in a perpetual 1995 pit stop, and nobody here has any intention of fixing it. Now, if you drive into downtown Edenton, it looks real classy. You've got historic waterfront homes, brick sidewalks, and old colonial buildings. But drive 5 minutes past the town line into the rest of Chowan County, and the polite historical act vanishes real quick. This is deep coastal plain farm country where the smell of hog farms and fertilized dirt hits your air vents before you even see a town sign. The economy here runs on peanuts, cotton, and dudes named Wayne who treat their John Deere tractors with more respect than their own family members. Out here, the roads are long, flat, and surrounded by ditch water. Entertainment doesn't involve movie theaters or fancy restaurants. It involves finding a dirt access road, parking 4 trucks in a circle, and lighting a bonfire big enough to be seen from space. Everyone owns a dog box on the back of their pickup. And during deer season, the sound of CB radios and barking hounds is basically the town soundtrack. In rural Chowan County, a fancy night out means putting on the dark pair of Wranglers and driving over to the local tackle shop to buy beef jerky and talk about the weather with a guy who hasn't worn shoes all summer. It's country to the bone and proud of it. Benson sits right at the intersection of I-95 and I-40 in Johnston County, but despite being right off major interstate highways, it operates like modern society stopped making updates in 1982. Benson's entire claim to fame revolves around an annual event called Mule Days. That's right, a multi-day festival dedicated entirely to mules, rodeo, livestock, and thousands of people riding horses down Main Street while double-fisting sweet tea and turkey legs. That tells you everything you need to know about the local priorities. In Benson, if your vehicle doesn't have a hitch, a toolbox, and a faded coat of red clay dirt on the fenders, you're the odd one out. Front yards are decorated with horse trailers, vintage plows, and above-ground pools that stay up year-round whether they have water in them or not. The local social club is the feed store or the local diner, where the gossip moves faster than the Wi-Fi. People here don't measure distance in miles. They measure it in how many cigarettes it takes to drive there. Benson is unapologetically country, steeped in farm dirt, and entirely uninterested in suburban progress. Way out in Graham County, tucked deep into the shadows of the Great Smoky Mountains, lies Robbinsville. This isn't just a mountain town, this is aggressively unplugged, high-elevation backwoods territory where the roads twist so hard your GPS will straight up give up and crash. Robbinsville is surrounded by dense national forest, which means the lifestyle here is 90% outdoor survival and 10% waiting for the local hardware store to open. Cell service is a luxury, a 4-wheel drive vehicle is a survival requirement, and every driveway is built at a 45-degree angle that would terrify a flatlander. In Robbinsville, the local economy has always relied on timber, hunting, and mountain grit. Houses out here don't have pristine lawns. They have wood piles stacked 10 feet high, rusted 4x4s parked in the weeds, and bear-proof trash cans that have clearly been tested by actual bears. People here don't go out for fun because going anywhere takes 40 minutes down a mountain pass. Instead, recreation means riding side-by-sides up dirt logging trails, hunting boar, or sitting on a porch squinting at any car with out-of-state license plates like they just dropped in from alien territory. Robbinsville is remote, rugged, and entirely self-sufficient. If you want to see a town that took one look at the modern world and said, "No thanks," take a drive down to Hobgood in Halifax County. This is a tiny dot on the map surrounded by endless fields of corn, tobacco, and peanuts, where the total population barely clears 300 people on a good day. Hobgood doesn't really have a downtown. It has a couple of brick buildings holding each other up, and a railroad track running through the middle of town. There are no grocery stores, no nightlife, and no fast food. If you need something, you either buy it at the local general store or you learn to live without it. Life in Hobgood is measured by crop cycles and weather reports. The main form of transportation during harvest season isn't cars. It's massive agricultural equipment, taking up both lanes of 2-lane backroads while a line of frustrated commuters slowly trails behind them. The locals all know each other. They all know whose land belongs to who. And if a strange car drives down Main Street, 3 different people on front porches will put down their mason jars to stare until you turn around. Hobgood is small, quiet, redneck by nature, and perfectly fine staying completely hidden from the rest of the state. Located in Randolph County, Randleman is a heartland town built on textiles, stock cars, and a deep-seated devotion to local high school football. It's the home base of the famous petty racing dynasty, meaning automobile reverence here borders on an actual religion. In Randleman, if you don't know how to turn a wrench, change your own oil, or rebuild a carburetor by the time you turn 16, your family might actually disown you. The local garages are immaculate, but the houses are secondary. You'll regularly see a $2,000 mobile home parked right next to a $40,000 enclosed race car trailer. Priorities are clear. The local hangouts aren't coffee shops or gastropubs. They're gas station parking lots, auto body shops, and the local high school stadium on Friday nights. Everyone wears racing jackets, everyone talks trash about rival towns, and everyone has a cousin who swears they almost made it as a professional driver. Randleman represents that specific brand of North Carolina redneck culture where pride is tied directly to how loud your engine runs and how fast you can cut a field before it rains. It's gritty, engine-obsessed, and proud of its roots. Clinton sits down in Sampson County, which happens to be one of the largest agricultural counties in the entire state. Because of that, Clinton is a town where you can smell the money. And by money, I mean turkey farms, hog houses, and fresh manure from 5 miles away. The entire town revolves around farming and agribusiness. If you aren't driving a dually pickup towing a livestock trailer, you're driving a service truck filled with tools and spare parts. Front yards in Clinton are outdoor showrooms for lawn equipment, utility trailers, and flatbed trucks with toolboxes welded to the frame. Friday night entertainment in Clinton is loud, dusty, and usually involves a tractor pull or a mud bog event where grown adults pay good money to sink $50,000 trucks into 4 feet of liquid clay just to see who gets stuck last. Clinton doesn't try to appeal to suburban commuters. It's a blue-collar, dirt-under-the-fingernails town where a good day's work means coming home covered in grease, mud, or feather dust. And nobody here would trade it for a desk job in a million years. Rounding out our list is Tyner, a small unincorporated community tucked away in Chowan County that makes other rural towns look like bustling metropolises. Tyner doesn't really have borders. It's basically a post office, a fire station, a country store, and a web of long dirt roads cutting through timberland and peanut fields. If your house has a street light in Tyner, congratulations. You're officially living in the big city. Out here, the front yard flex is an art form. You'll see boat holes resting on wooden blocks, antique tractors rust curing in the tall grass, and hound dog pens humming with activity. Local navigation doesn't rely on street names or GPS. It relies on landmarks like turn right where the old barn collapsed, or go past the hog house until the pavement ends. Recreation in Tyner is aggressively DIY. It's shooting targets off a back porch, riding ATVs down power line clearings, or gathering around a burn barrel on a chilly autumn evening drinking cheap lager out of a foam cooler. Tyner isn't trying to grow, it isn't trying to modernize, and it treats outsiders with a blend of polite confusion and mild suspicion. It is as redneck as North Carolina gets. And that's our list, the 10 most redneck towns in North Carolina. If you're watching this from a high-rise apartment, a gated subdivision, or anywhere with 3 coffee shops on the same block, just know there's a whole different version of the Tar Heel State thriving out there in the woods. It's louder, rougher around the edges, and completely unconcerned with your opinion. Which of these towns did we hit on the head? Or did we miss a backwoods spot that deserves the crown? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.